are the questions? Let's get started. Come on.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's get started. So in order to, as you can see, so we've brought our Rails monks in. They're wearing their monk robes.
Hells yeah.
And we've brought in Jim, who is larger than a monk. So he doesn't actually need a robe. He is monkish all the time.
I'm actually not on Rails core, but I am glad to come here with opinions not based on facts, which I'm very good at.
Oh, perfect. That's exactly what we need. I do not need fact-based opinions on a panel. I need complete supposition.
Those are the best kinds of opinions.
Yes. So
Jim is a Rails core dependency.
They need to get cozy, and I love this idea. Someone brought this app to my attention. Whoever you are, has Eric left with the drink orders? Oh. Whoever brought this to my attention could have got a free drink, but sorry. So let's get this party started. So fireplace. Okay. So now we'll put a log on the fire. And now we'll light a match. I like this thing. And now we got a little fire. And it's all cozy. We're all friends sitting around the campfire, right? I think it's got all these Easter eggs too. Like, let's see if I can find some s'more. Can I make a s'more?
Hey, Evan, can you do me a favor?
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
Can you repeat what the competition is, please? We had a request. That's our first panel question is please.
Repeat the competition?
Yeah, please tell them, explain the competition one more time.
Okay, so you've got coloring books in front of you. You've got crayons there. Whoever does the best coloring book, as judged by our panel at the end, wins their visage and name immortalized in a future coloring book. That's number one. And number two, you get to take a picture with our panel, and you get to choose the circumstances with which that picture is taken, if you get my drift. So you can have them in any kind of compromised position. Well, not any kind, it's a family affair, so let's be, but mostly, if you will. So
a PG-13 position, please.
Bro, these days PG-13
Yeah, does anybody else need a coloring book? Are we good?
G.
We're good with coloring books.
A G position.
Okay, all right. Game, it's on like Donkey Kong coloring book wise. Get going. Okay, so, my marshmallow's getting burnt.
I fail at this already. I can't find the two dots.
I have the light version? All right, I gotta, hold on, I gotta light this fire again, just a sec. All right.
Bro, this is pretty boring.
This thing sucks.
I'm dying over here.
Okay.
My ADD is
That's why I got you a drink.
Me.
Okay. This is how panels are supposed to go. No one is supposed to know what's going on, including the moderator. So. Do we already have a winner?
We might already have a winner.
This
one's very good.
Okay.
This one's very good.
So the idea here is 2 to 3-fold. I'm going to kick off with some questions for the group, and then we are going to open it up for any kind of questions that you guys want to ask. And what we're going to do is, because we've only got a couple of mics here, you have to come up in order to ask that question. Okay? So you can start now. If you've got a question that you're dying to ask the core team, you just come right over here. Okay? Anytime you want to get that started, please do. Okay. So I got 2 questions. Each one of you are going to get a chance to answer these 2 questions. I'll give you both questions now, so you've got some time to think about it. Question number 1, if you could go back in time and take one thing out of Rails, what would it be? It can't be, I love it so much, you take nothing out. You gotta have a real answer. Only one. Aaron's like, just one? How do I choose?
I'm beating you to the punch. Tag logging?
Just one thing. Just one thing. Just one thing. Also, panel, don't bullgart the mics. Pass those mics around. We only got 2 of them, so be good with the mics.
You start, Yehuda.
Oh, no. Wait, I gotta give you both questions first.
Oh, okay.
Question number 2, if you could go back in time and add one thing, what would it be? So it's sort of like that, the give and take here. Okay. So you guys thinking about it? You got Yehuda is just, look at this boy go. He loves to color. All right, so who wants to start? Aaron, you want to start over there?
I'll start, since
okay,
I have no facts to back me up.
Yes.
No, so I'll start with the one as, if I go back in time, one thing would I take out of Rails? Yeah. I would take out the lousy naming for testing sections in Rails. It's just really, really poorly named testing in Rails.
It could. What do you mean by the sections? Be more specific.
The
we've got viewer. Don't forget, you're speaking also to. This is going to be recorded, so you're speaking to all future humans.
Okay, so humanity of the future. Learn your lesson well when
Drink
you
a gin and
name
tonic.
the kinds of tests you have. The fact that we have controller tests that are really unit tests on controllers. We have our functional tests that are and model tests that are unit tests, and just the names of the different kinds of testing are confused and don't follow standard testing nomenclature. And every time I give a class on how to test in Rails, I have to explain how not to use these names and what are better names, and it just really frustrates me. And I see you want to say something.
Jim, I would posit that all of the tests in Rails are functional tests because they're making sure it functions.
Yeah, are there any unit tests in Rails? Does anyone write unit tests?
But Ruby's not a functional language, so how could that possibly be?
I have no idea. Okay, you go next, Santiago. No, come on. Okay. So let's see. The one thing, if I could go back in time and add one thing.
You can answer both questions now, or you can
Okay.
answer one now. We can go around, and then we can answer the other question. However you guys want to do this.
So, has anybody here used Cornify? Yes. Okay, so that, if I could go back in time and add one thing, that is what I would add to Rails.
What?
Cornify.
For future humanity.
I'm
What is
actually just
Cornify?
giving you a bullshit answer right now because I don't have a good answer yet. I'm buying time. So
You're telling me you don't know what you would take out of Rails?
No,
if you
add,
did-
add.
Oh, add. What
Yeah.
about take out?
I can't choose one thing.
Oh, come on. You got to choose. Look at this guy. He's hilarious. Did you just choose one? Just pick one.
Bro, you have string inquirer.
String inquirer.
The what?
Does everybody know what string inquirer is?
No. What's fill me in? I don't know.
Okay, so what string inquirer is? Actually, damn it, there's two things I want to take.
Okay, you know
so
what?
many
Should we let Aaron take two things out? I think we should.
All right,
Okay,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. So there's string inquirer, and what that is let's say you have a string that says like development, like that's what it is. It's a string that says development. String inquirer lets you call development ? On that string, and it tells you whether or not the string that you called it on is equal to the string.
So the implementation of this
development.
method, the implementation of this object is it has an initializer that takes a string, saves it off the string, and then it implements method missing. And whenever method missing comes in, it sees if it has a question mark. If it has a question mark, it strips off the question mark and checks to see if it's equal to that.
I'm confused.
So you have a
This is totally serious, Jim.
How would you use this thing?
So you would say
I wanna change my answer.
Rails.env equals string inquire dot new development, and then you could say Rails.env dot development ?
This is totally real.
Okay, this is a good one. So what was the other thing you want to take out? You said two. I like this. Or did the beer disappear?
Oh God. In ? That kills me. Kills me. I will explain what in is. In is you say like 2.in ? and then you give it a list, and it returns true or false whether or not 2 is in the list.
Does it just do include?
Yes. Okay. So it just turns around and calls include. Yes, exactly. So it flips the 2. And the reason this really, really frustrates me is because, so that number 2, it doesn't know what a collection is, right? It's just a 2. Why would it know what a collection is? It doesn't contain the information to know whether or not it's part of a collection. So why are you asking the 2, like, it can't know this information?
More applause for our beer wench, Hodel.
I don't actually agree with you, bro.
Who else had a libation?
What?
So I don't actually agree with you. So
Who else had a drink here? Yeah, come up and get your drinks.
Wait, I feel like there's a cage
These guys
match
don't know what the
beginning
fuck they're talking about. It's fine to interrupt them.
Good panels have arguments, right?
Yeah.
Bring it.
Please argue.
Bring it. Tell me why you think in ? is a cool jam.
So first of all, I like the aesthetic. No. So that's a joke. No. So so what I mean by that is there are many times where that it is a lot clearer to use in question mark. And second of all, the idea that you can never have an object method in an object-oriented programming language that takes a parameter and then expects a protocol from that parameter. So in this case, what we're saying is the in question mark method exists on object, and the definition of the in question mark method is that the parameter should have an include question mark, and we will call it on that. That's a perfectly valid thing to do in an object-oriented language.
Yeah, I think it's totally valid. It's just that it doesn't fit with my mind at all, because the array is the object that contains the information about whether or not 2 exists in it. So I feel like that's what I would say is, hey, array, do you contain 2?
So so most cases that's fine, and you usually do that. But there are other cases where it is a lot clearer to use in question mark.
I like that we're getting into the philosophy of an object.
Doubts.
Who are you, object?
I kind of agree with both, because I'm totally with you that 2...
People pleaser.
I know, I am. 2 doesn't make sense to have that object in it, but it reads better. A lot of times I'll see the collection.include something, and it just totally warps my mind. I actually have to turn it around in my head anyways to understand it. And so aesthetically, yeah, I think I agree. I'm okay with it for aesthetics.
You know what I don't like? Can I chime
Apparently,
in here?
I think backwards. Apparently.
No, I think in most cases include question mark is actually correct, but there are cases where it's not.
The thing, this is sort of related. The thing that kills me is when I'm going through code and I see like bracket and then a bunch of things, bracket, dot include in something, because it was just shorter than going like this equals this or this equals this. That kills me all the time.
I think we've got to be careful in that we don't create a lot of aliases that do just exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
In fact, if you would turn that question around to Ruby...
That ship has sailed, bro.
I know. If you turn the question, what would I remove from Ruby? I would remove some of the aliases of 2 methods that do exactly the same thing, because I think it's confusing. But some of the enumerable methods are...
There's like 3 aliases for inject.
But, yes, exactly.
Collect or map.
I used to do collect all the time, now I've switched to map, so I've changed.
I feel like there's RSI concerns with collect.
But
you got bigger problems if that's the number of letters that cause RSI.
The ability to write exactly
right?
what you
Everything
want.
is a native data structure. You're just mapping all the time, right? Okay, I got you. Sorry, continue.
That's okay. I think the ability to write exactly what you mean is important in some medicine. So I'm very glad that Ruby has an unless. But sometimes I still write if not, because that's what I mean and that's what I want to convey to the reader of my code. So having in is okay if that's what I want to convey to my readers.
But also, fuck you if you use unless else.
I would never say that.
I would go further, unless with more than one.
Oh man, unless with like, unless, blah, and. I'm like, oh my head hurts already. My brain is melting.
I actually go into Rubinius and print out the bytecode and I'm like, okay, I can figure out.
I have to do it too. It's not the only one. I actually get really, and maybe it's my feeble brain, I get really confused. Like, I have these, when I get an unless thing and a bunch of things, I have to I literally have to flip it and do like, okay, what was my 3rd grade math where I can like take a and or and do like the normal like Boolean logic to just flip this. I don't think that was 3rd grade. That was probably like senior year of high school. But whatever.
I like your 3rd grade. That's awesome.
I don't think that's what 3rd grade in Montana looked like, to tell you the truth.
I think my dad taught that to me in 3rd grade.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. So
my answers, unfortunately, are I'm screwed because the answers I would have given 6 months ago are what I want to say now, but the things that I would like to say are done. So what I would like to see removed is active resource, and what I would like to see added is some kind of queuing interface.
Do people use active resource much anymore? Can I get some show of hands for people who still use active resource? All right, I think that tells you.
So the problem with active resource is
big hands. Don't be ashamed. Big hands. Big hands. There you go. I feel like there's a lot of 3rd grade analogies today.
So the problem with active resource is that what Active Record gave us is like, hey, world, make sure that when you make your database, your IDs are ID, and your foreign keys are full ID, and make sure your tables are plural, and like all these rules, and you follow the rules, and Active Record is awesome. And what Active Resource said was like, who cares about rules? Do whatever you want, and like we're gonna give you an anemic tool set to go connect to the server, right? So at the end of the day, you don't have the scam that ActiveUp was able to pull off, which was a good scam of like, we're not gonna add any features in the beginning because we'll just tell you have to follow these rules. And you don't have like a good enough tool set to actually do the right thing as a client. So you end up with something that doesn't work. I would get rid of active resource, but I think it would be good if we figured out some conventions that we could apply. I think that's something like active resource is better.
I think as a consumer, I've only had to use active resource like a total of one time. I think there's some library that was like, oh, it builds off active resource. You have to do this other thing. I was like, this is weird. All right, whatever. So
yeah, it's like the problem. So there's actually would be a win in having enough of a convention such that you were able to say like, hey, if you implement your Rails app this way, you get associations, you get all this stuff for free. But we don't do that.
I think it's something that Rick Olson wrote too, as I recall. Used active resource, so that probably makes sense.
Yeah, I know. I have the same active resource. I have the same inkling that there was a thing.
Something anyway. Well, let's Santiago. What about you? What would you remove or put back into Rails?
Yeah, I agree. I agree about in. For example, I would remove some of the core extensions in ActiveSport. Probably the array42 method. I would remove that. Then I would remove probably scopes because actually we can build it with class methods. So
yeah.
That's basically.
Yeah.
Scopes with lambdas is just wrong. I mean, that's so much complexity when you just have simple class methods.
Array42.
So both Array42 and String Inquirer were created in the throes of the MERB Rails debate.
Hold on. The question was,
what is
Array42? Okay.
Can we rename that to Array40 first?
So both String Inquirer and Array.second were added during the throes of the Rails MERB merge, and I always had the sneaking suspicion. So MERB was like very prickly about stupid shit, although we had in question mark. And I always got the feeling that it was like, we are Rails, we can add sugar, .second, go for it. Like it was during this like very heady period of debate.
Bro, answer the question.
And then, okay, so there was...
We got a history lesson from Professor Katz up here.
I'm sorry. So DHH added array.second, which was like array.first, but second. You could probably figure out what it does.
So it's like array sub.
So you don't have, so basically for symmetry, like if you have an object that has three things, you can do like first, second, and third, and instead of doing like dot first and then 1, 2, right? And there was a lot of a brouhaha, like you guys, like at this point, this is ridiculous. People can use brackets, it's even shorter, blah blah blah. And DHH, like as a joke, added array.42nd, and I think I'm assuming it's still there. Awesome.
So here's a question, and this is me not knowing Rails very well. That's why it's good to have a moderator that doesn't know anything. Is the thing that always irks me when I'm reading some random active record thing is when I guess this is in controllers, when you see like :if, where it's like some controller callback. That's not scopes. Never mind.
Oh no, I think I know what you're talking about.
But it reads really weird. Is it just me, or is it just strange?
It's a filter, like filters.
Yeah,
so you have a thing that's like,
filters.
okay,
Yeah.
before filter, blah 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 blah. If
if
something or other.
And it usually takes a lambda.
Yeah.
Why not just take a lambda that does an if?
So actually people keep asking for this feature in active model serializers. They're like, hey, I want to say like attribute foo if blah, and I'm like, hey, why don't you just override the fields method and say, like, include this attribute if blah with Ruby. Hey, it's actually even shorter. And people are like, no, I want to stick with declarative stuff. We have not accepted the pull request,
Okay,
but
well.
I understand.
This is turning into me complaining about Rails to these people. So
I understand the pressure of it. The pressure is like you're in declarative land, and it feels like like a conditional. That's simple. It's like a conditional for a method. Let's just do that, and then.
Okay, so
I feel like these questions weren't very good troll questions. Like we're not arguing very much.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. So here's what I would add to Rails. Okay.
The teddy bear's gone now, or the gloves are off.
Yehuda will probably respond to this one. I want identity maps.
So we had identity maps. So here's the problem.
Do people use the?
I suck as a panel.
Is it still optional?
So it's been reverted as far as I know.
Oh, wait, no. Let me go first. Hold on. Let me interject. Okay, so if I could go back in time and remove one thing from Rails, It would be rake.
Maybe if there had been a rake 1.0, it would have been fine.
Yeah, if it was.
Double damn.
Yes. We'll wait until, I would prefer to wait until we get to rake 1.0, and then I feel like it's stable enough.
Yeah,
to
hey Jim.
put it into
Hey Jim,
Rails.
when are we gonna have a rake 1.0? You want to talk about that?
So rake 1.0.
Yeah, rake 1.0. I
Not
want to
going to
hear.
happen.
Not gonna happen. What about 2.0?
2.0 might happen. I'm considering going to the Oracle versioning scheme,
Okay, that's just you skipped to
where
5
you
or
just
something, I
have
don't know.
random numbers with dots between them, and
Yeah.
they don't mean anything. No, it's right now. I'm deciding between rake 2.0 and rake 10.0 because really we're at version 9, and just drop the leading 0. It doesn't mean anything anyway.
Totally.
So
I mean,
I'm
that's,
really
what happened,
consider.
that's what Emacs did, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, sure, Java, right? They
Yeah.
they keep.
I guess that was
1.5.
1.5, and we went to 6 then.
Yeah,
So-
1.5 to 6. So it actually totally makes sense. And dropping the 0 actually is I mean, zeros are nothing anyway. So
Yeah.
what does it matter?
That's
So
exactly. There's really not a 0 there.
yeah,
How do
you
you
never
measure that?
the 0 you see there is not really there.
No.
It's a silent 0.
Can we add an umlaut over it and make it not silent? Now, Brad, well,
Comment was so it might break bundler. I'm so now tempted to do
buzzing.
that just because
Okay,
of that.
so we've been so let's get back on track, right? So we didn't talk about what you might add, so we talked about kind of things you might take out. Whether things like it could be something that you have now, this could be sort of a hindsight of 2020 thing, like something that we've come upon in 3.2 or 4.0, whatever, that you would be like, oh, if this had been in Rails 0.8, things would have been totally better. Or it could be something completely random.
So did you guys finish your identity map talk, or did I fall asleep and miss that?
I guess we're not doing that.
I suppose we should talk about identity map. We have it, but it's gone now.
I like it though.
So I like it too.
So what is an identity map?
Okay.
What is an identity map?
So the idea behind the identity map is that if you go and say give me post number 1, you always get back the same object in Ruby.
Even if it's like across requests.
And so in the Rails version, it was isolated per request, so you would not get the same object across requests.
So what he means by same object is literally exactly the same object reference. So it
EQUL
wouldn't-
question mark.
Yeah,
EQULE question mark.
So
In
if you say
JavaScript,
post-
triple equals.
If you say post.find1, it's like the first time it queries the database, the second time it's like
And
just
actually,
pull it out of this cache.
It's more than just a cache. If you said post.find1 and then you said post.where ID1,
Yeah, come on. There's got to be more than 2. You can bring them up anytime. Come up.
This is really bad. But
Yeah. Don't forget to put your name on them. Otherwise, how am I going to assign amazingness?
Skrillex.
So, continue.
so
Pardon me, Aaron. Can I steal your pen?
Sign
So
Skrillex.
if you do post.find1 and later on you do post.where ID equals 1, obviously the second. What's going on?
You're too far away from the mic.
Oh,
You gotta rock that
post.find1,
mic.
Post.where ID is 1. Obviously, Rails, if you pass a string, will not be able to see that the post ID is 1. Or obviously, you could come up with other examples like author.posts.
Where it bites me is where I have an object with a collection. I navigate to a collection object. I navigate back to the parent. It's a different parent object in memory than the original.
And even simpler than that, just if you get the same object from different avenues, if one of them was a simple query and one of them was a query with a list, if you say give me the first post and then you say give me all the posts, the first post that you got back is the same object, right? So the idea is that you can always rely on the fact that you have the same object. So that's the idea. There are a couple of problems with this. The first problem is mostly backwards compatibility, but it's a little bit of a conceptual problem. So people have situations where they go and they say, give me the author for post number 1. They get back so first they say get the current user. They say, okay, I'm going to go update the current user, and they don't save it. Or they're going to save it later. And then they go and they say, okay, give me the current post author, it happens to be the same user, and they go make another change and save. So that is, people might find that unexpected that it saved the original change, or maybe it raises an exception or something like that. So there's an aspect in which it seems obvious that you want the same object back, but there are scenarios in which you have to really think about the fact that you're getting the same object back, and if you're not thinking about it, it has unexpected behavior.
And there's a lot of code that expects that it's not getting the same object.
So existing code and existing like practices in general. But I think that's something we could probably address long term, is like you have to start thinking about things differently. But a bigger problem is just it is a hard thing to implement. So an example of this is I have a post, has many comments. I go and I edit the comment. I delete the comment. And then I happen to get the comment from another venue, or I have an object that's in multiple associations and I delete it. So like there's a lot of weird edge cases where you make
consistency problems,
so
basically.
So what we're talking about is the second law of hard problems in computer science, which is cache invalidation.
Correct. So a good example would be you have a comment that's in, comment is not, a tag that's in multiple things, and you actually delete the tag, right? If you delete the tag, it should be removed from all associations that it is already in. So you have to go make sure you delete them. So I've actually been doing all this work in Ember, because in Ember, in client side, you really need an identity map because you have these objects that live around for a long time. And I like pinged Kaz at one point, and I was like, hey, identity maps are really hard. Here's an issue. And he's like, yeah, this is the stuff we didn't do in the active record identity map.
So let me ask you this. So identity map did go into Rails at some point, some version?
It was a Ruby Summer of Code project that eventually landed.
And then it unlanded?
So yes, so the problem...
It's in the Hudson now, or?
It was reverted. So
Okay.
the problem is that people tried to use it, and they ran into the issues that I'm talking about, and...
But it made it into some production version, right?
I think it was in 3.2.
3.1?
I think it was also in 3.2.
So it's just in 3.2, but it's just no one turns it on anymore. Is that the deal?
No, it's in 3.2. People turn it on and stuff, but we've reverted it in master.
People turn it on and then encounter
Gotcha.
like
Bugs
serious
and then
bugs.
shut it off.
Yeah. So it, thinking about 4.0, is there an avenue in 4.0 for someone to be able to add a identity map plugin that provided that functionality, or is it so ingrained into the fabric?
Wait, what was the comment?
Can you add identity map as a plugin?
Could I add identity map in as a plugin? in
Sure.
4.0?
Yeah, you can add anything as a plugin. It's like Zombocom. You can do anything in Zombocom.
Yes.
Yeah, you can do anything as a plugin.
Okay.
Well, the question is, like, are there sufficient hooks in Active Record now to add it as a plugin? And if not, should we add them?
I'm just asking.
Yes, there
if
should
4.0
be.
is going to break shit, then maybe.
Yes, there should
4.0
be.
is not going to break shit.
Well, but I saw the keynote. You didn't. You weren't here yet.
I was absolutely here. Aaron wasn't.
I was not here yet.
Oh, you weren't here yet.
Yes, I don't want to break anything.
I get
in
confused. You
Rails
guys look so
4.0.
alike sometimes. I get confused.
We shouldn't break things for the hell of it in Rails 4. If there's a really good reason, fine. But so far, I haven't heard any good arguments for why we should break something.
Santiago, what
Except
about you?
1.8
Would you
support.
add anything into Rails? Go back in time and add anything that's you like now that if we had earlier might have changed things a lot?
No. Come on. Okay, I will probably add support for best support for JS heavy applications. I have been with the Yehuda idea of having supporting better. I don't know how to say in English. Sorry, probably.
Spanish, do it. Come on, Spanish. Come on.
You can do it in
Just
Spanish.
do it
It's
in
fine.
Spanish,
We all
yes.
got it. Do it in
Come on.
Spanish. Español.
Okay, basically, short answer would be better support for JS heavy applications.
Okay.
If you want to add something, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess. Do you want to say something?
I wanted to say that he should have said it in Spanish.
I agree.
So
All
like,
right, continue.
maybe respond to or something way
Are we
back
gonna
in the
take
day
any
that had
audience
better
questions
JS
at some
support.
point?
I'm sorry, what?
Are we going to take audience questions at some
Yeah.
point?
We can
I
take
want
them
some good troll
anytime.
questions
Are you guys?
here. We need to be-
Look, we've probed their minds enough. They've got questions now. All right, here's what we're gonna do, because we got all the time in the world, but
I think Josh
Technically, we
Calderin
only
has a
have 20
question.
minutes.
Is that how you pronounce your name? Probably not.
okay.
All right.
So no shouting out questions because they can't be heard by future humans. So what I need you to do, oh, you want to do that? All right, you got to stand up, though. Yeah, ask it in Dutch first, and then...
So last year, Aaron, you talked at in your keynote about how you wanted to redo the middleware. And there we go.
I'm not sure.
The question is, Aaron, what's the status on rewriting Rack?
It's a lot of freaking work. So last year, in my keynote last year, I talked about Rack and the performance problems caused by Rack. One of the main performance problem caused by Rack is the gigantic stack traces that you see. I don't know if any of you have ever done, like puts caller in your view, but yeah. Any of you that have done that, you're like, whoa, where?
Rails is becoming Java, bro.
Yes. You're like, I can tell this is enterprise by the freaking stack size. You're like,
hey, there's a rap song in there.
Anyway. So the reason that this is the way it is, one of the reasons is because Rack has this thing that's like, okay, middleware call, and then you come all the way back up the stack. And you're like, okay, great. So half of your stack frames are call. So what I talked about was changing Rack, basically rewriting Rack, and the status of that is that it is hard. I have the interface written in actual code, and I just need to make it work with like maybe Puma or something. And
okay.
Yes. Do you know about Puma?
Yeah.
Have you heard of it?
I've heard this.
Anyway,
I've heard about this thing.
Constantine is supposed to be helping me with it, and he hasn't done any commits to the repository, so...
Slam! It's turned into a rap battle up here.
I'm actually kind of disappointed because I thought he was a Ruby hero, and I'm like, what?
And he said Ruby 0, is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. Does that answer your question?
It did turn into a rap battle.
All right.
I hear he works
we
at
have
Travis
some
CI.
other questions. Could you guys come around up here, though? Just... Oh, you're penned in? Is that what you're saying?
So one of the questions was, if I could go back in time and add anything to Rails, my answer would be documentation.
Oh. It did turn into... Snap.
You can do that.
If only we... If only we could find a Ruby hero, if you will, that would be willing to contribute documentation to Rails.
I don't think that was a question, was it?
That wasn't a question. You got
I
trolled.
appreciate
You got
the
trolled.
trolls.
I think Josh has a question. Josh, go ahead.
Yes, Josh.
So in the interest of transparency, what do you think about creating a public pivotal tracker project for stories for Rails core development?
This is a good question. Let me expand it slightly. And I've got the mic already. I've got all the control. I can shut that mic off if I want. I just have to snap my fingers. Maybe you guys could talk about what the workflow is on Rails core. Like how do you guys decide?
Or answer my question.
Well, there's that too. Well, I think they have to answer your question to answer my question.
Well, I think the correct answer to your question will mean that the answer to Josh's question is no.
Okay. So that you will not have a public tracker, or you do not have a public tracker?
So I'm probably going to say controversial things that are outside my station right now, but we could have a pivotal tracker, and it will probably make people feel happy, but it will not. I cannot imagine it accurately reflecting what people work on, because what people work on is frankly pretty random. And I think trying to plan ahead of time, so maybe we suck, maybe we should fix this, and maybe a pivotal tracker will help us fix it, perhaps. But people basically take on tasks on a regular basis that are whatever is the most high priority for them, because very few people get paid to work on Rails, so almost all contributors, except for Aaron. So we could have like an Aaron pivotal tracker, but most features, most Rails features that get in because somebody who we would not have imagined would do it 3 months before suddenly gets bit by a bug or has a desire to have a feature and goes and spends a lot of their free time that we could not have previously allocated as a resource to solving a feature. So you sound like you want to disagree with me.
So Santiago, how do you choose what to work on? Sorry? How do you choose what you should work on inside Rails? Is it just what problems you have in your normal job?
Yeah, actually building real applications and also reviewing the issues on GitHub and pull requests. That's basically.
Yeah. So you know, as someone says like, oh, I have this bug, I have this problem, you kind of look at those. So that might be useful in sort of terms of like a tracker or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Similar.
Okay, cool. What about you, Aaron? How do you decide what you're going to work on? When you wake up in the morning and you take a shower, how do you decide what you're going to do that day?
Well, actually, the way that I particularly do it is I take the GitHub issues and I select maybe about 20 of them randomly, and then I put them onto a dartboard, and then
that explains a lot, actually.
Yes, and so that's the one that I pick for that particular
And then you throw a
day.
sausage at the dartboard.
And I see which one the sausage sticks to.
Yeah,
yes.
okay. And then you pick that one.
Anyway, Josh was saying something about transparency, and I was afraid he was going to talk about my underwear for a minute. But he didn't, thankfully.
Do you wear transparent underwear? Do you want to talk about them?
No.
Okay, cool. All right.
Okay, let's talk about features. We could have an Aaron pivotal tracker, but I don't feel like I'm organized enough to do something like that.
That's the point.
So you say that's the point, but I think the idea that Rails is a project that is conceptually similar to like a project that Pivotal works on in any way is actually kind of. So what happens in Pivotal is that the goal is to take a consistent set of resources and figure out how to estimate and understand what those people will be able to do over a period of time based on stories that you could reasonably estimate ahead of time as like important features, right?
Well,
this is just not how Rails actually works. So we would basically be like jamming that idea into a process that doesn't work like that.
We use Pivotal Tracker on all our projects at EdgeCase, and we love it. But I've also set it up on my open source projects. Does not work on the open source because you work on what inspires you, you work on what the muse is speaking to you at the time, you work on what interests you, and you know, at work I said, okay, we have these requirements I got to get done. What's the top story in Pivotal? And I pick that off and I work it, and we click, 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 and we get our requirements done. I don't do any of that on my open source projects, and it just doesn't work the same way in that respect.
And I would say one other thing, which is I think I could imagine that some of you are thinking like, you guys suck. You should definitely fix that and have a process. And I would garner that if we did that, the amount of overall productivity would go down significantly.
So actually, seriously, the way that I actually work on issues is either issues that we have at work, or like if I see something common among the bugs that I'm fixing in the Rails bug tracker, I'm like, okay, this is probably an area that needs to be cleaned up or something that we need to work on. I don't have any particular overall overarching features that I would put into a tracker and be like, okay, I'm making progress.
Right, like you guys would be pretty upset if you had a tracker and Yehuda assigned you a story. Aaron, you should be working on this now.
Also, if we added...
There would be like an epic flame war.
Also, one of like the premises of Pivotal Tracker is that the stories are basically homogeneous in terms of who can take them off. So anybody who has free time should basically go and take off a story. Mm. And if we added like rewrite the what's the thing we just talked about? The identity map.
Identity map.
We could put like rewrite the identity map, but like then the idea, so anybody goes there, hey, it seems like a good story, like yank it off. What in practice is the case is that there's actually pretty silos between different features and which people are appropriate to work on them. So anyway, next question.
Fascinating.
Next question.
Let's go to the next question.
Let's move on. Yes.
Yeah. Step right up.
Hey, my question is directed towards Santiago and Yehuda. And Yehuda, you're the one who recently did the API mode commit. Is that correct, or is that somebody else?
So I worked on it together with Santiago and like several other people on RailsConf.
Okay, and what I've seen from the code is it basically what smashes the stack, takes out some modules from Action Controller, and does some other stuff, creates a simplified controller.
Yep.
To me, it doesn't seem drastically different enough from the standard controller to really warrant using it. What are the major advantages to using the API, Rails API? Is that the gem? or using this approach?
So that was the argument that caused it to get reverted. And I am sympathetic to that argument, but I'll go back to something that Aaron said this morning, which is, I think if we have, so like why should we have a queuing implementation in Rails? The reason we should have a queuing implementation in Rails is that now we have a thing we can talk about. So hey, everybody who builds a queue, now there's a way that you can imagine building a queue. And what I had hoped to gain is, in Rails 3, we actually did a lot of work to make it possible to start with something small, and Jose and I have used this feature heavily. And most of what we do is start with a small stack and add in features. And we turned out we were adding the same features all the time. And obviously, if you just start with that, the first step is not that much better. Maybe you get like a 10 or 20% performance improvement, which is, maybe it matters for some people, and maybe it doesn't. But the idea was, if we have a beachhead for like, here's how we think about, there's basically a divergence. There's applications that are very browser and HTML oriented, and there's applications that are not. And if we have a mechanism for like, okay, if this flag is on, we can not run this code.
The bar wench wants to say something.
Then I would imagine that over time we would do more of those things.
Future humans can't hear you.
If I may interject here, at AT&T I worked on a middleware app, and I helped. It was I think it was AT&T's first, AT&T Interactive's first Rails app. So it was very old and had all these warts on it. So we cleaned it up, and I brought the time down probably by a third. And then after I moved on to another project, my coworkers switched it to Sinatra, and they cut the request time in half simply by switching from Rails to Sinatra. So there is a lot of stuff that Rails does that we didn't need simply because we were just making HTTP requests and returning an aggregate of that. And so I think that some of this stuff that, yeah, you need to go and figure out what stuff don't you need just to do an API thing.
So the concern that I had was I can't really tell what it completely removed from the API of creates the right?
So yeah, let me refine that question if I may. Is it coming back? Right, so it got reverted. Do you guys think it's actually going to come back? Are you going to be able to justify its return, if you will?
The current state of things is, if we can illustrate a significantly improved performance for those type of applications, it will come back.
Okay.
And so the goal is basically at this point to have a plugin. I think we're basically green-lighted to add features to Rails that are necessary to make the plugin exist, right? So like internal implementations. For me, basically, it's important that we have a way to talk about the case of the case that Eric was just talking about. We need a way to talk about that. And then people could say like, hey, I'm building this app and I'm looking at the profile and this whole section of the code seems unrelated to what I'm doing. And then we'll say, oh, okay, that's right. We don't need that. We will figure out how to reorganize the code so it's easier to remove that in API mode.
Aaron, are we boring you?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on then. Next question.
It's entirely possible there's been news about this and I have missed it, but if I recall correctly, there's been a lot of talk about improving concurrency in Rails, and auto-load has been stated on several occasions to be thread unsafe, and Mats has said that at some point in the future, auto-load is going to be deprecated from the language itself. So I may be misinterpreting some of those statements, but does that mean we will see auto-load disappear in Rails, or...?
Whatever you say, I'm probably going to disagree.
We've just tiptoed into a minefield.
Yeah, we're going to remove autoload from Rails.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we are.
Okay. So let's discuss what autoload in apps gets us.
Okay.
So what autoload?
Why did you? What time is it? It's like 6:30. Why are you asking these questions?
Well, let's ask. Actually, let's. This is a really good thing, and I want to get to this, but let's. Because this might be a longer thing.
Yo, I'm gonna let you finish.
Yo,
but
I'm gonna let you finish. But let me tell you, coloring books were the best thing in this panel. So, do you guys either want to constrain the answer to this answer to like 2 or 3 minutes, or do you want to see if there's a simpler question and we come back to this one? Because we got to get to the coloring books.
All right, let's talk about autoload. Yehuda, go.
Okay. What autoload gets us is the ability to not have requires in files where we would not have to have them. The thing about thread safety is if you are trying to autoload a dependency during runtime. So if you're like, hey, I have class person, and you reference person at runtime, then basically when you require a Ruby file, it's basically executing a method, which means it has all the same thread safety problems. So what we do in Rails, as you know, is we say in thread safe mode, in production mode, in thread safe environments, we, instead of auto-loading, we require everything up front, okay? Now you might say, okay, if we're eager loading everything and auto-load is going away, why do we need this? Why do we want to still have auto-load in the code base? But the answer is, so imagine that we have class special post inherits from post.
Okay.
And we do
You
not
have 15
auto-load.
seconds left, Yehuda.
Fuck, you move on.
Aaron, counter argument, go.
Whatever, man. Autoload sucks. No, I don't actually have a counter argument. I believe Yehuda. So the thing is, so basically the thing is, like, I have doubts because we need to remove, like, we're going to remove autoload from Ruby core itself. So I'm like, why do we have it?
So I don't know if autoload is going to be removed from Ruby core. The end of my sentence is, if you have class special post inherits post and you don't have autoload, you have to require post, and that would be a massive change to Rails applications. And if we simply keep autoload on during the non-thread safe boot process, then we get all the win of not having require without the threading problems, and we should leave it.
I'm totally confused, but I trust you.
I think this is a topic for another time.
Yes.
Let's move on. So let me ask you something. How controversial are these next two questions? Okay. Well, let's give them a shot.
Very controversial.
Step right up.
Hey, so I'm really happy to be here because it's my very first RailsConf, and I was like, yes, fantastic, this is awesome, I am stoked, it's exactly what I want. And then I was like, oh yeah, Aaron's giving a keynote. Yes, he did double dream hands that 1 year. This is gonna be great, it's gonna be so much fun. Everyone's having a good time, yes. And then the keynote ended, and it was, be prepared. I got scared. You're my Hug Friday guy, and you're just like, be prepared. And I'm, what's going on? Just tell me. Just tell me. Just tell me.
I think we need a hug.
Why you troll us, bro?
Aaron, you need to give him a hug. Here's how this goes. There you go. Get down there. Big hug. There we go.
Oh, God damn it. Yeah. So
basically, your question was, Aaron, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Okay, so yeah. So the problem is, like, last year my keynote was basically it. I am done. I will never be able to top that talk. So I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to try this year. So I was actually very emo while I was preparing this presentation for this year because I'm like, you know what? I can't even do it. There's no way.
Okay.
There's just no way. So, I mean.
So you just decided to keep it real.
Yeah, I wanted to keep it real. I mean, like, so that, like, I was very critical about Rails during my talk, but the thing is, like, I think what I want people to understand is, like, I even though I'm critical of Rails, I am actually on the Rails core team, and I'm critical because I care a lot. So I care so much about it, so I wanted to come on stage and be like, this is, these are the things that bother me about it, like, this is the direction I need to go, I really want us to go in that direction, and this is what we need to do to keep Rails relevant as we move into the future. So that's what I wanted to say, and I don't know how I'm not very good at putting spins on things, so I don't understand how to put a spin on that and be like, hey everybody, if we don't change, then we're gonna be screwed. Like, I just don't understand how to say that in a happy tone.
All right.
So,
Well, let's do one last question, and then we're gonna go on to the coloring book competition extraordinaire.
All right. This one is kind of serious a little.
Oh man.
So I'm looking at the issue queue right now. We have like 840 issues. When we move from Lighthouse, we actually like declare bankruptcy once by closing all the issues and like just close it. Are you guys planning to do that again? Because like
we should get GitHub to add a issue bankruptcy button.
Yes. Because most of the thing is I'm going into the issue queue trying to find something to do, and then like I'm not even sure like if this one already fixed in the latest version or not, or something like that.
All right, Aaron, do you want to? It's
So
why do bar wenches know about this kind of stuff?
I'm going to get to that.
All right,
if you
cool.
keep talking,
This will be
I
good.
won't be able to relay my story.
Sorry, I'm gonna let you finish.
So, way back in ye olden days, before Firefox existed, there was Mozilla. And before Mozilla had 1.0, they had Milestones. And it was a very, very buggy browser. And they had an issue tracker, so you could go file your issues. And then every week, they would have a bug busting day. So everybody who was in IRC, they would be like, okay, we have all these issues. What we need you guys to do on IRC is you go and you find an issue, and you say, I'm going to work on this one. And you go and you made sure that the issue said, you know, like, oh yeah, this thing is broken. So yeah, you go and check out, and yeah, yep, that really is broken. And then the people here at the table who work on Rails could go and say, I know which issues to work on. So you do stuff like, hey, yeah, this bug and that bug, they look the same, so they're probably the same issue. So you can go and close one as a duplicate of the other. Or, oh, this issue, I can't reproduce it. So hey, whoever reported this, can you show me some more information? So maybe Rails could do something such as that to go and reduce this massive pile of issues that nobody knows which one is which or which is important.
Shouldn't you be categorizing these things? So, yeah, issues. And it sucks. Yehuda? Yes, exactly. It is a failure of leadership. Thank you.
What is your question?
So why do we have so many issues?
So one thing that's worth noting about our issues is that we don't, I think if you plotted them over time, we would not have a steadily increasing number of issues. So there's, obviously 800 issues is not an awesome thing, but I think it's relatively flat or slightly increasing.
Well, I think it's, so one problem that I have with our issues is like we don't have canned responses on our issues, which kind of annoys me. Many times we get issues filed that are like, yeah, you should probably be asking this on the mailing list because it's typically something like, how do I do XYZ? Like, well, this ticket tracker is probably actually for bugs, not how do I do, not like support requests, right? But I don't want to be that guy who's like, sorry, dude, you're asking in the wrong place.
So all of my, I don't really do issue tracking on Rails. I have never done it, which makes me a bad person.
Whoa,
so
okay.
I will go through, obviously, issues to try to find ones that are worth working on, but I've never done like a full categorization sweep.
All right, here's what I'm going to do. You
Okay.
guys have 2 minutes to solve this problem. And then
So
we're
I'll
going to
tell
do
you what I do
coloring
on my
books.
other projects. What I do on my other projects is I'm extremely aggressive about closing issues. So if an issue is open for like a week and there's like no discussion on it, or like it's a type of thing we discussed before, I'm aggressive about it, with the caveat that we're also pretty aggressive about reopening issues. So it's very common that we'll be like, hey, this doesn't seem like a thing we want to do now. If you disagree, please let us know why. And if someone like comes back, we like totally reopen it. And that actually keeps the...
So let me...
I really like that strategy. I actually really like that strategy. The problem is though, like when you close an issue on GitHub and it gives you that like big red, you're screwed, it's closed thing. We get a lot of people who are like, why did you close my issue?
So you need to be clear in the issue. So the problem is that there's a lot of drive-by issues, right? People who are like, I'm having an issue right this second. Then they like say like, oh, I'm trying to do this thing, it's broken. And then you're like, oh, really? Like, can you tell me more? And then they never reply.
So let me. I'm gonna rephrase this question, and you get like one really quick answer, and then we're going to coloring books. There's 800 and whatever, how many issues open right now? 840. If you could do one thing to radically reduce that number, what would it be? Think about it for 10 seconds. Just think about it for a sec. So these guys, I'm going to explain the rules of the coloring book. They're going to look through. They're going to pick 2 that each one of them are going to pick 2 that they like, and then we're going to look through those 8. They're going to look through them, and they're going to pick amongst the 4 of them from those 8 the one winner. So, okay, now that I've given those rules, how would you do it?
Actually, well, what I would really do is, I mean, I don't know. What I would really like to have happen is if someone came in and reviewed these issues and said, hey, Aaron, this is one that you should probably pay attention to.
So you need community triage.
Yes. If I had somebody to triage these tickets for me and say,
So-
like, hey, Aaron, this is actually an important ticket, and you should really fix this.
So here's a good thing. So if everybody in this room went back and each one of you triaged 3 tickets, we would be done. So
And Yehuda
just think about that.
disagrees
That's
with-
actually not that much time.
I have not seen that strategy
Triaging 3 tickets may take you 3 minutes, one thing per. So think about that. If we could do it during the morning session tomorrow. We could have all 800 of them triage.
So I think the answer is having. So I don't think that will work.
Why?
All right, before Yehuda poops on my idea, let's go on.
I think it's a good idea. I think it's good.
Everybody should go triage. Seems good. So there's 800 issues. Everybody will say which ones are important. Many issues will be important. So I don't know how that solves the problem.
And 820 of them will be important.
By triage, I mean not just like close them. I mean, triage to me means that all of them are acted on in some way or another. So they could be open, they could be closed, or they could just be commented on. Like going through and triaging them to actually say, adding a comment that says, are you still having this problem, actually gets a crap ton of things closed. Because what people do is they get the email and they go, oh, I forgot I still had that issue open. They reply, they go, no, this is fixed. This is my screw up. And they close it. That can, if literally all of you just went and did that for 3 of them, we would have most of them closed. So that's going to be my suggestion.
The problem is you have to have a timeout on that strategy because like many people will also get that email and just be like, delete.
No, that's fine. But you give them the opportunity then. So like you say, are you still having this problem? If a week later they say no, you just close the issue and you go on with life, right?
Santiago, what do you think?
In Spanish.
Yo cerraría los No. I will probably, if GitHub could provide us a way for people to choose the version of Rails that actually the issue is for, this can probably, because we have a lot of issues for Rails 3.1 and 2.3 that on 3.0 that are not support anymore.
So maybe another good triage technique would be to go through and maybe add tags to issues.
Sure.
I can't
you
remember.
can't if you are not.
Oh well. Maybe just comment in the thing. This is only for Rails 2 or whatever it is. But think about that. Think about going through that thing and just pick 3. Just pick 3 that haven't been mentioned for a while and do something on them. So. That would at least help. Believe me, that would not screw anything up. That can only move us forward. I'm gonna have to close it down.
I had a short answer.
No, you never have a short answer.
I'm told. This bathroom is
true.
killing me.
I love him
I'm
to death,
sweating
but his
like
answers are
nobody's business. I'm dying.
We should have a more aggressive rule for whether an issue is open.
Yeah, you guys
I'm actually afraid to take my robe off right now. Too hot.
Okay. All right. So what we're gonna do is look through these. Did you look through the coloring books as much as you can, or as much as you want, for the next few minutes, and then pick 2. So you guys find.
What are you going to talk about while we're sitting here?
I'll find something. So how about this? How about this? While you guys are talking, I'll answer any questions you want answered. Just me personally. So don't ask Rails shit because the answer will be I don't know.
Tell us about the future of Rubinius.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's totally valid. So. My time is slightly reduced now, so I'm actually doing more. My plan is to do more project management with Rubinius because I haven't. In the past, I've basically been, I can just do that. I don't need to bother with project management stuff. And now because I have a little less time, I'm actually going to do more like, what should our next milestones be? What are the features that need to be in those things? Basically, those things that these guys won't do, I actually have to do for Rubinius to a certain extent. So that's what I'm going to do personally. The future is we're working on 2.0, which is going to be huge. So
how huge is it?
It's huge in Japan. Huge.
All right. Like 1
Godzilla.
megabyte or 2 megabytes or how? Like what are we talking about?
I think it's like 10. It's like 10.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that is huge.
Whoa, yeah. So any other questions for me now that we've got that out of the way? Here, you got to come up here. Actually, Evan, will you help me out here? Will you go around and give this mic to people?
Was a beard required for this panel?
Was what?
A beard required for the panel.
Evidently. I didn't even realize it. We could have had a beard panel. So, I guess I could open this up. No, I won't bother them while they're working. I was going to ask about trimming techniques. That's actually a really...
Well, their beards aren't that long, so they can't have that.
No, but that means they've got a lot of comments about trimming techniques. That's my point. Go ahead.
Is it better to deal with mass assignment in the model or in the controller?
Oh, so like, it's a good question for me because I don't fucking know. I mean, it feels like, if in my personal opinion, it feels like it should be in the controller. Because the model doesn't know about the crazy world, it just knows about its thing, and the model knows about the crazy world. Or the controller knows about the crazy world. That's my personal opinion.
Can we get a quick show of hands from the panel about that?
In a sec, how about that?
Okay.
I don't want to burden them. They've been drinking. Any other questions for me that I can answer intelligently or not intelligently? I can't decide. Is this where we're getting boxers or briefs here? Is that how this goes?
Where the next RailsConf is going to be today?
There's going to be a RailsConf related announcement tomorrow.
Can we stop calling it conf and go Rails conference?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of Google juice on RailsConf.
Okay.
Actually, you know what's this funny? I actually, if I could
Is
go
it
back
going to be
in
just
time-
called RailsCon?
If I could go, if I could go back in
Con
time.
better,
Here's
yeah.
the thing: if I could go back in time, I would call RubyConf Rubicon, personally. Rubicon. C10E, yeah.
Ending on
No,
two
that is the
consonants
best
like-
one yet. Rails C10E.
I think we should call it Rubik and Railk.
Where's
Rails.
the mic? Is there a disembodied voice speaking? Who am I looking at here? It's a ghost. Oh, back there. Yeah.
Oh, hi. No, I said the same thing to myself
Go
earlier.
ahead.
Like, why did we put that F on the end? That was stupid.
I don't know.
And I blame David Black.
Okay, cool. Is that was your comment? What? That was your thing?
Oh.
Did you have a question for me?
No.
Okay. All right. Any other? Okay, so it looks like we're coming to some kind of consensus here at the peanut gallery table. So let's take it back to you.
I have my nominees.
Okay,
Are we supposed to talk about them and why we like them?
Yeah, so exactly. So you each have got 2 coloring books in front of you. So what I need you to do is do a little description of what you like of these 2. You're selling the other 3 on either one of those.
Yehuda didn't pick any.
Yehuda. No, it's not. That's not how this works. You need to actually, you need to pick 2 of your own.
God damn it.
Somebody loved to color. Someone loved to color, but doesn't take very good direction.
Oh my God. You know what I'm going to shout at the Ruby Rouges meeting tomorrow? Failure of leadership the entire time.
All right, well, whatever. So Aaron, go ahead. Hey, so Aaron, you've got 2 coloring books in front of you. Sell your other panel mates on these coloring books.
Okay. This one's a really easy sell. It just has one thing colored in, and it's a picture of my cat. And it's really
It's
like,
good.
I just like, it's my cat.
That's good. That's
It's
pandering.
adorable.
That's good pandering. Okay. And what about the other?
This is my cat in here.
Okay.
It's a terrible drawing, but I love my cat.
And what about your other one? If it's not that one, how would you do the other one?
I can't decide between these 2. There's
That's fine.
2
You can
I
do
have.
3. Yehuda didn't do any.
Okay, so I've got this one that's a dragon, and he has the same title that I do, which is Corey Haynes.
Okay.
So I had to
All right.
pick that.
And what about your last one?
My last one is this one. Like, it's a unicorn. It's got the unicorn and the dog like drawn in, but for some reason, like that page with like the explosion at the top of stars and stuff. But at the top it says like Tom. And it's just like why does
Okay.
it say Tom at the
All right.
top?
So let's go on to Jim real fast. We're butting up against time here. So.
Okay. So this one is the dot to dot colored in with a rake, but they added a leaf. And the guy who gave me the name for rake said, I imagine rake like raking up the little leaves of dependencies. So they captured the meme there. So this is a personal favorite. I think they were pandering.
More pandering.
To me. Yehuda said we could pick one for him. And I tell you, unicorns with laser eyes. That's a big win in my book.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
But my very favorite is the dragon here. Now, you can't read it, but there's a big line in the middle, and it says, on this side is the reality where dragons breathe fire. On the other side, it says our reality. So, I'm totally down with our reality having a dragon in it, even if it doesn't breathe fire.
So
this is my personal favorite.
I interpret that
I
as
want to live in this reality that has dragons.
I interpret that reality as just dragon butt. That reality has dragon butt in it. Okay. Santiago, you have two that you want to try and sell your mates on?
Okay, first one is this one. He drawn a ruby, and actually he has colored the whole book. So
really completeness. Really,
yeah,
someone went the
it's
whole
complete.
9 yards. Okay.
Next one.
Yeah.
Says $5 to each of you if I win.
All right. So. All right. Good. I'm glad. You know, I was
That's
hoping
mine.
we get straight up bribery. That's good. I was hoping that. That would be $30 because I count. So.
And the last one is this train. So it's
Very
colorful.
good. Okay, so now I need you to do a little powwow and figure out which one of these is the winner of all of these ones that you guys have had. Exchange and look and take a moment. Figure out which of all of these are you going to award the amazing and illustrious gift of being immortalized in a future coloring book.
Yes, all right. So
And
how many do you get to pick?
one.
Oh.
A single winner. Look, life is full of decisions. You got to make a decision here. So, again, the winner is immortalized in a coloring book in the future. And how are they going to be immortalized, Eliza? Okay, so they can provide a design, and that design could be their face, right? Or their kid or their cat or something.
But my cat.
Oh my gosh, did you hear that? The stakes just went up. We have a professional comic book artist that Eliza has who will actually do this. So you might end up being in like Scholastics or something. Can you imagine that? Gorbachev, Aaron's cat, and Scholastics, because that's what you choose. That would be pretty amazing. That would be pretty amazing. A lot of you are thinking now, why didn't I do this competition?
All
So.
right. Okay. We've come to a
That's not fun.
The jury has reached a verdict, bro.
Okay, we have a decision.
So, all right. So it was very close. It was very extremely close between $5 to each of you if I win, and
Pure bribery.
the one that is a picture of my cat.
And which is the winner between
Well,
these two?
The thing is that we conferred about this, and the problem is that the prize is that we have to be put into possibly compromising poses, and we decided that if the winner actually has to pay us money, our poses will probably be worse. So
that's
the
a good decision. I like this.
So the winner is my cat.
Oh. And so is it labeled? Did the person put their name in this particular comic book?
Yes. Steve Klabnik.
Oh, okay. All right. So Steve, you will work with Eliza later to figure out what goes in a future issue of Scholastics. So please do not harm the minds of our children with this particular one. And also, you can take a picture. We'll figure out that afterwards. So it looks like we actually have just a few minutes before the next keynote, and we need to set up for that. So thank you, everybody, for dealing with my incredible silliness. And we'll do a quick break and turn around, and then we'll be ready for the keynote 7. So thanks so much.